So let's get crack-a-lacking, everyone. So when we talk about financial maths, probably the most important thing initially is to understand fractions and percentage. So I want you to write for me as a decimal fraction, as a common fraction and as a decimal fraction, these three numbers. Now, I will do the first one. 6% is the same as 6 over 100, or 0.06. I want you to write down these next two fractions like this in these two forms. And when you are done, I want you to say done. Oh, awesome. Cullen enjoyed it too. Oh, awesome. Cullen, I'm so glad to hear that. So some of you, the quiz was a good thing. I mean, the game quiz was a good thing. So once you have written each of these fractions in these percentages, rather, as fractions, I want you to say done, so I know that you're done. So if I had to write 7.5% as a fraction out of 100, I would write that as 7.5 over 100, or I could write it as 0.075. Now, what about 9.63%? Well, we can write that as 9.63 over 100, but that's a bit clumsy. You know, the easier way to do this is to write it as 0.0963. What you can also do is, if you put into your calculator 9.63 over 100, it will automatically give you that. So give me a thumbs up if you know how to convert from a percentage into a common fraction and a decimal fraction. Give me a thumbs down if you guys are uncertain about that. Okay, fantastic. Now, audience question time. What is this PA thing over here? What does that mean in financial maths? PA. I would love to hear a student voice tell me what it is this P dot A dot thing means. Put your hand up and wave it in the air. You just don't care. All right. Ain't nobody want to use their voice. So it's per annum. It's per annum. All right, you're quite right. So per annum means per year. So 6.6% per annum means 6% per year. Okay, awesome. All right, let's do some more of this. I want you to write the next 5 percentages as fractions. And once you've written those 5, in fact, let's make it, you write all of those. I want you to write all of those as common fractions and as decimal fractions. And when you are done, you just say done. Because if you can't get this part right in financial maths, life is going to be tough. So that's why we start at the very beginning. Let's check. I feel like I should bring some sound effects to my lessons. What do you guys think? You know, like those buttons you press and they make funky sounds, like a DJ. I think that's what I should do. Okay, I'll work on it. I'll see what I can find. Okay, Tandiwe, you're with me. We're going to do it. I'm going to find some sound effects. I'll find one of those little old keyboards, and then we'll have audience choices about what sounds we can find. Okay, 10%, 10 over 100, or it's the same as 0.1, or you can also write it as 0.10. 12%, 12 over 100, or 0.12. 25 over 100, is the same as 0.25 or a quarter. Now, these ones get a bit trickier. So I want to give you a bit more time. How do I write 28.25 as a fraction? And let's have a look in the chat. So welcome to Busasiwa, to Pabalelo. I've welcomed Profunzo already, I think. To Pila, Maniwe, and Tandiwe. It is good for you to be with us. So how do we write 28.25? Well, a percentage just means out of 100. So I could write it like this, or I could write it like that. 30% can be written as 30 over 100, or 0.30. 106 is going to be the same as 106 over 100, or 1.06. And let's just keep swimming. 115% is 115 over 100, or 1.15. And 130% is 130 over 100, or 1.30, or 1.3. Give me a thumbs up if you are following, you are happy with percentages, and we can keep on going. This is the fundamental building block of finance. If you ever work in finance in the real world, you'll be amazed how often percentages and fractions come up. They are important. So you need to be comfortable switching between. Okay, then let's talk about, when we talk about time, in finance, time is a really important thing. And so we say, how many months in a year, how many quarters, how many periods of 6 months, how many days in a year? I want you to tell me the answers to these 4 questions. So when you divide time up into different units, how many months, how many quarters? Give me the answers to those 4 questions. So, Callan, you've nailed it. Indeed, there are 12 months in a year. How many quarters? Well, there are 4 quarters. So you could think of maybe a quarter as 3 months, because 12 divided by 4 is 3. How many periods of 6 months on a year, or how many semi-annuals are there in a year? Let's have a look. There we go. I see the answers coming through. There are 2 semi-annuals, or in the year. And how many days are there in the year? There are 365. I know some of you will say 365 and a quarter, and you're not wrong. But generally speaking, for finance, we'll just go with 365. Okay, so this is important. But again, I don't think this is too hard. So just give me a thumbs up if you're okay with these numbers and conversions. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, now it's time to do some maths with these numbers. I want you to work out the answers to these 4 questions. How many months in 3 years? How many quarters in 5 years? How many 6-month periods in 18 years? How many days in 4 years? And I want you to work those out using the stuff that we looked at in the previous exercise. So for this first one, if there's 3 years and you know there's 12 months in each year, you'll just have 36 months. And I saw the answer flashing up on the screen here. Okie dokie. Very nice. Very, very nice. Quarters in 4 years? Well, I think I spot a pattern here. If you've got 5 years and you've got 4 quarters in each year, you'll have 20 quarters in 5 years. how many 6-month periods in 18 years? Well, we're going to go with the 18 times something. What are we going to times the 18 by? What's going to happen there? It's going to be 18. Well, there's 2 6-month periods in a year, so it will be 18 times 2, so 36 half years. And last one, how many days in 4 years? Okay, so I suppose we could say there's a bit of a trick. So 4 times 365. And if you include the leap year, you would add 1. But for our purposes now, we're going to ignore the leap year. So it's going to be 1,460 days in 4 years. Okay, so that is the building blocks of time and fractions. So how do we bring these together? All right, in the world of financial maths, there are 2 main types of, well, there's a very important idea called interest. And interest is how a principal amount, so the principal or the amount you start with, it basically means the same thing. The principal amount or the amount you start with, how does it grow over time? Okay, so this is probably the most important idea in finance. Like if you put money in the bank or if you lend it to somebody, what are they going to give you in addition to the initial amount or the principal? And there's 2 different ways of calculating interest. The one is called simple interest, and the formula that they wrote it slightly different here, but there are 4 letters in the sort of way of working out simple interest. And then there's something called compound interest, which is, it's related but not the same. So if we look at our formula, each of these variables has some meaning. The first one is P, the principal, and that means the initial starting amount. So if you look at this P here, it means that is the amount that you start with. Now, in simple interest, you only get interest on the principal or on the original, on the starting amount. So in simple interest, you only get interest on the starting amount, whereas with compound interest, you get interest on everything. Now, because of the time today, I'm not going to go into a super deep explanation of the difference. I think a lot of you will have seen this before, but what you need to know is compound interest tends to grow more quickly because of the fact that you get interest on interest or interest on everything, whereas simple interest grows more slowly because you only get interest on the starting amount or the principal. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard your teacher talk a little bit about this before. Give me a thumbs down if you're like, man, you are talking another language. The principal is the guy who runs the school. Why are you talking about the principal in this financial maths way? Okay, so then, first of all, we need to have the formula. And the formula, okay, the initial starting amount is this. The I is just the interest rate. Okay, so that's the interest rate. And the N is just the number of time periods. But what you'll notice is with compound interest, the I looks the same, but the N has suddenly taken off. The N is a power, not a variable on the ground. And that N is still the number of time periods. And so you need to be able to use these formulas. Oh, wait, what about A? So what is A? A is just the final amount. So what you end up with and what you end up with. So we need to be able to use these formulas to help us work out either the initial amount I started with, the final amount I ended up with, the interest rate that I'm getting, or the time periods that are involved. And you need to be able to work out any of these variables given what information they give you. So let's look at an example, because this is a much easier way to understand it. Here is a typical financial maths question. It says, Craig is lucky enough to have 500 Rand in his bank account, and his bank compounds this at 11% per year. and it's compound interest. How much will he have after 3 years? So what I like my students to do is to write down A, P, I, and N, and then fill in the stuff that you've got. So you've got the starting amount or the principal, it's 500. The interest rate per annum or per year is 11% or 0.11, and the time period is 3 years. Now what you need is you need the formula, the correct formula, and all you need to do is put these values in the right place to work out that Craig will end up with 683.82 in his bank account after 3 years. Give me a thumbs up if that example made sense to you. Give me a thumbs down if I've lost you. And I'd love a question. If somebody is unsure, I'd love to answer a question. Okay, then what I want you to do is, let's look at one other example, and then you're going to do some by yourself. It says in this case, Craig wants to have 6,000 Rand in 5 years' time. So this is, we're looking into the future, and we're saying that's how much we want in future. How much should he invest if the bank offers him 12.5% per annum? They should have said compounded. I'm going to tell you it's compound interest. How much does Craig need to put away now? And the important bit is when I write down A, P, I, and N, the first parts are relatively easy, but I need to recognize I'm now after the starting value or the principal. So what I'm going to do is I put in all the values that I've got, and now what I need to do is get this P by itself. So how do I do that? Well, I simply move the thing in green to the other side. So I want you to take out your calculator and go 6,000 divided by, and I want you to check that this is the correct answer. So take out your calculator. I would probably type in your calculator like this. 6,000 divided by 1 plus 0.125 over 5. I wouldn't worry about typing this little thing on. And can you give me a smiley face if you end up with a principal amount of that amount? I want you to check that you get that. I want to see some happy faces if you get 3329.57. Okay. I see some happy faces. All right. Now, that was me just giving you the sort of the warm-up, and I know some of you will have done this, some of you wouldn't have, but we are now going to choose some examples for you to work out. So the first example is find the missing value for each of the following using compound interest. You are going to do for me A, and you are going to do for me B. And I will give you the formula, and I will also tell you in this one I want what A is, in this one I want what P is. Please work that out for me. Off you go to the races. I want you to show me you know how to use the compound interest formula. And I'd love to hear your voice if you're willing to share an answer. Otherwise, pop it in the chat. I've got my calculator on standby as well. So we go, this is going to be 925.1 plus, and this is going to be 2. So mastering your calculator here is an important part of the journey, I get, did anybody get 1139.69 for A? Fantastic. Okay, so we've got our first one. Let's work out what P is. Can we work out what P is? Now I have to make sure I put things in the right place, otherwise bad things can happen. Now I need to find a way to get this P value by itself, but I'll give you some time to work that out. What do you get for P, or the initial value in this calculation? Pop your answer in the chat. I'm going to work out my answer now. I'm going to use the fraction button. 3,600 divided by bracket 1 plus 0.05 to the power of 4. Is anybody else getting 2961.73? Callan, Pafunzo, everybody else, the team is happy. The team, oh, Reniwe, did I lose you somewhere? So just to make sure you know what I did, Reniwe, I just brought this to the other side and I divided like that. And so because when I bring it across, it's divided. So you want to try and get this amount. While I'm working on that one, I want you to work out for me. I want you to do D, and I want you to work out D, and I also want you to do H, and I want you to do I. So do those next three for me. And then after that, we'll take a break. And then, Reniwe, did you come right? Are there any questions? Sometimes it's quicker to just ask audibly. Does anybody have something they want me to go over? Okay. All right, if there are no questions, I'm going to remove this working out so that everyone can work on D, H, and I. So I'm looking, I've got, all right, so I actually can sub straight into my equation. 0.13, and N, what was N? N is 9. So I'm really having to get this P by itself. So what am I getting for the principal value in the calculation? So I'm going fraction button, 4,600. And then on the bottom, I'm just going to put bracket 1 plus 0.13, or you could say 1.13 to the power of 9. And I get 1531.27. So I get that I start out life with 1531.27, and I get up to 4,600 if I grow at 13% for 9 years. So we've done those ones. Now we just need to do H and I. So we've done, this is D. For H, I'm just going to have 2,600, 1 plus 0.092. So I have to be careful there, 0.092. And here I have to have 3.5. What are you guys and girls getting for that? Oh, we left out C. That's why I was color coding. We're doing a selection. This is my curated collection for you guys. So what are we going to end up for H now? I'm trying to work out what the final value is. So if I start life 2,600, I grow at 9.2% per year, and I grow for 3.5 years. What do I end up with? So 2,600 times 1 plus 0.092, close brackets, to the power of 3.5. I am getting 3,537.96, and I should put rands. So just one more to do, which is I, and then we need to have a break. Ooh, what was that noise? What are you guys and girls getting for that? Okay, so for this last one here, your 2,400 equals P1 plus 0.076 to the power of 9. But now we have to move this bit to the other side. So we're going to get P is equal to 2,400 over 1 plus 0.076 to the power of 9. And what do we get for that? So fraction 2,400 over 6 to the power of 9. Is anybody else getting 1241.37 rands? All right, everyone, I want you to tell me, in a score out of 10, how are you feeling about the content we've done so far? These are financial maths building blocks. Give me a score out of 10. 10 is perfect. 0 is nothing. 5 is somewhere in the middle. How do you feel about the work we've done so far? Okay, today is just a getting going day with financial maths, but it's important you build a good foundation. Okay, now we're going to carry on, but we need a quick little dance/exercise break. So I want you to step away from your desk or your table or your bed or wherever it is you find yourself in life, and just join me in standing up very quickly. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Breathe in. And then just shake out your arm, shake it out nice and loose. Shake out your left arm, shake out your left leg, shake out your right leg. Give everything a good shake. The blood flow will be good for your body. And then let's do 15 jumping jacks in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh my goodness, my heart is pumping, but I'm alive, and this is a good thing. How are you feeling, people of grade 11? Are you with me? Is your heart pumping? Show me if your heart boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now we are back here for the final stretch of today's lesson. Now I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to make life a bit more difficult. How can I make your life a bit more difficult? Well, I've only asked you to find the initial value, P, or the final value, A. But what happens if I say to you, you must now find me I? Do you think you can do G by yourself? So see if you can find the missing value I in the question G. See what you can do. I'll put the formula back on for compound interest. Are you able to find the missing I? Now, not all of you will be able to do this, but let's see. Let's see if you can follow your instincts. What would you do, even if you didn't know what to do exactly? I would start filling in values first. Aquande, yes, I love it. Okay, not square root, but you're on the right track. You need to undo something, and rooting is a very good idea. So let's fill in what we know for sure. We know that the I is locked inside the bracket. But what is it locked there by? It's locked there by a 3. So what I'm going to do, and maybe give me a thumbs up if you can see this. Can you see that if we're going to unlock this I have to move this away? Can you see where this needs to go? Yeah, was there a hand up, Pufunzo? Or was that just a mistake? Let's open the queue. Yeah. Pufunzo, what do you think? Can you hear me?
Hello, sir.
Hello. What do you think we should do?
Okay, sir, I think we should divide both sides by 853 first.
Yep. Or 855. But yeah, that was just my bad handwriting. 855. And then we get to that stage. Do you know how to unlock the I that is hiding in the bracket? What do I need to do next?
I think we can multiply both sides by 1/3.
Okay, yes, that's correct. So you can either raise both sides to the power of 1/3, or another way of doing that is just to take the cube root of both sides. So you either do it like that, or if you don't like that, you can just say raise both sides to the power of a third. It actually is the same thing. And what you will get on this side is 1 plus I. And what you get on this side, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to work out. What did you get, Pupunzo? Have you done it yet?
I got I got 2,62.
Give me all the decimals. 2 point.
6268.
Okay. Anything more?
96.
9.6.
96.
So 9.6 again.
No, it's 2,626896,419.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Give me a thumbs up if you can verify what Pupunzo just said. So if you put this in your calculator, are you getting, yep, Reniwe is with you. Okay, now we need to figure out what the I is going to be. What is the I going to be? How are we going to work that out next? Thanks, Pupunzo. That was awesome. So I think the I has been unlocked. We have set the I free from its jail, but we still need to move the 1 across. So I think we should go this whole thing minus 1, and then we'll get I. So let's do that. Then we're going to get, how does that work? Yeah, it does work. So we get, are you all getting 1.626896,419 for your I value? Okay, what does that mean? It means that the interest rate is 162 point, well, it's basically 162% per year. I'm going to round it off to that. I could go 162.68, but what 1.62 means as a decimal number is 162 over 100, or 162%. So this yearly interest rate is 162%. It's a really nice interest rate. But that kind of makes sense because, look, it started so small, and within 3 years, it got to 5,900. So give me a thumbs up if you understand that, okay, look, that's a very high interest rate, but it kind of makes sense. Let's do one more like this. So I asked you to find I. Can you do F for me? I want you to do F where you're trying to find the value of the interest rate. See if you can do that for me using a similar method. Actually, you know what? Sorry, guys. I've just realized there's a mismatch between the months and the interest. So I'm going to press pause on that. I will come back to this in a future lesson. But for today, I'm actually not going to do that one. I'm rather going to move on to the next one because it will be easier that way. Let's just do one with simple interest. So here is a simple interest calculation. And for this, the formula is slightly different. Can you work out for me the value for this one? So what is A? And can you work out for me what is P in this one? Let's just do those two chop chop. So remember, the formula is different now. There's no N floating in the sky. This is simple interest, where we only get interest on the original. What is A going to be? Now, what was I? It's 6.4. So it's 0.064 or 6.4 over 100. And what's it times by? It times by 10. So what's the A value going to be? What are you guys and girls getting for that A value? Anyone else? Let me know in the chat what you are getting. 360 times 1 plus 0.064 times 10. I get 590.40, and that would be Rand in this scenario. Can you work out what the value of P is in this next one? So we are using determine the missing value using simple interest. And the simple interest formula is on the board here. And you're trying to find out P. So the difference this time is you need to tell me what P is, and you're stuck with this situation. I would like a couple of students to put the answer for P in the chat so I know that we're on the right track. How are we doing with that one? It feels similar to last time because I've got to move this whole thing across. At the moment, this is times by this, so I can bring it across, and it's 3250 divided by 1 plus 0.14 times 7. Are you getting? Can we see some other answers in the chat there? Some confirmation. I get 1641.42. So when I round, oh, it's 41. Sorry, it's not 42. I made a mistake there. All right, let's do one more with simple interest, and then I will move on. Can you find me the answer I for question E? So now you're not solving for the initial or the final amount, you're solving for I, which is the interest rate per year. And I wanted you to apply what you've learned today to help you find this. So I put that in there, put this here. And what's n going to be? Oh, n must be 11. What should I do next? I feel confident I've subbed in all the right values, but the I seems trapped. I need some help. What do I do next? Who is going to help me? I think that this 400 needs to move to the other side. And if I do that, then I'm left with 1 plus 11i. But then I can still go 1,900 over 400 minus 1 equals 11i. And then what I can do is say, look, I don't want 11 i's, I just want 1 I. And so whatever this is will be my answer. So if I go 1,900 over 400 minus 1, and then I divide that by 11, I get 0.3409. Now, as an interest rate, what does that actually mean? Well, this is the same as 34.09 over 100, or it's the same as saying 34.09%, and it's a per annum interest rate. Give me a thumbs up. Now, this was the hardest one we did, and I just want to go over the steps here. I moved the 400 across. I then moved the 1 across, and then I divided by 11. I got 0.3409 and it carried on, which is the same as 34.09%. Give me a score out of 10 for how well you've understood the financial math stuff from today. We've done compound interest formulas and we've done simple interest. And I want to know how you are feeling about using these formulas so far. Now, obviously, we're going to practice them more. Today is just getting used to the formulas, but knowing these two formulas and what A and P and I and N mean is an important starting place. So I'm just going to finish today with one multiple choice question. And here is your multiple choice question. It says, what is the value of 8,800 after 3 years at an interest rate of 7.5% per annum compounded annually? And what I will do is I will give you the compound interest or the compound growth formula to help you. You tell me which of these four you think is correct. Maybe we'll do two multiple choice just to check. Which of the four answers do you think? Okay, what are the people on grade 11 saying? So we are going 8,800 times 1 plus 0.075 to the power of 3, and I get 10932.21. So the correct answer is D. Fantastic. You know what? There is time. Let's not limit our learning. There is time for another one. Oh, wait. Okay, we'll do this in the next lesson. Okay. I'll have a look at this, and then we'll end today's lesson. What is the value of this after 4 years if it is invested at 6% per annum compounded quarterly? What does compounded quarterly mean? What does it mean when we say we've got 6% per annum, but it's compounded not yearly, it's compounded every quarter? Well, what we need to do is we need to take our interest rate, which is 0.06, but that's a yearly interest rate. To change it to a quarterly interest rate, we divide it by 4. So my new interest rate is going to be what? What's my new interest rate going to be per quarter? So this is per annum. This is going to be P/Q. Well, I can go 0.06 divided by 4, and I'm going to get 0.015, or we could say 1.5%. We could also say 1.5% per quarter. Give me a thumbs up if you're with me on that one, that you understand how if it's 6% per year, it's 1.5% per quarter. All right, now, here's the thing. If my interest rate is per quarter, I don't want my time to be in years. How many quarters are there in 4 years? How many quarters are there in 4 years? Well, we did this at the very beginning of the lesson, didn't we? If you've got 4 years and you want to change that to quarters, you go 4 times 4, which is 16 quarters. Okay, now here is the real finish of today's lesson. You are going to find, for me, you are going to use the compound growth formula, but you are going to put 9,800 over here, but where it says interest rate, you are going to put the quarterly interest rate. So you are going to put 0.015, and where the N is, you're not going to put years, you're going to put quarters, which is 16. And then I want you to tell me which of these 4 options would you choose. So the biggest thing that we're going to do in the next lesson is we're not going to just do interest rates that are yearly. We're going to change to interest rates that are monthly, quarterly, and so on. And that gives you a little feel for where we're going. I'll get rid of this. Which of the 5 options or 4 options do you think is correct? I'll put the working out now. So we start with that. But because our interest rate is per quarter, which was, what was this? 0.1 that one. And then this was, oh wait, yeah, 1 plus 0.015. And then what was n? Oh, this was 16. So what are you guys and girls all getting? You should be getting 12436.06, which is A.